Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Success Link with America's Supermom. Happy Friday. We are plugging along through this year. We are halfway through, and it has been some time since I have had a chance to connect with my next guest. I have Dr. Steve Taubman here, and I'm excited to catch up with him, see what's new, but always bring great value to you guys. So I hope that your summer is going well. I know I cannot believe how far into it we are. But I think I have one announcement that I would love to share with everyone, and that is that I'm having a Christmas in July meet and greet. So that event is going to be taking place July 25th. And so I want to invite all of you listeners to come and join because I think it's so important to get ahead of the curve. As America's supermom, right, with 15 children, 10 of them still at home, the holidays can get crazy real quick. And one of the things that keeps me sane is preparation, having a plan, implementing that plan so that I can have more peace during the holidays. So I am excited to have Dr. Steve with me. We actually got acquainted through Facebook, I believe. It's been some time. He's been on my show a couple times, and I'm excited to have him here today to talk about mindset and real estate. So you're probably wondering, what do those two have in common? We'll find out a little bit more after this. So stay tuned. All right, I am so excited. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce to some of you who don't know Dr. Steve Taubman.
I am so
Hey,
glad to be here. Thank you so much, Lachelle. I got to tell you, your music just
I
sounds
love it. We're
right.
ready to rock and roll.
Okay, we're ready to rock and roll. This is lovely.
This is great. You can have this music when you're in a chair. You know what I mean? I'm getting older, and it's like some of those moves my kids have. I don't want to hurt myself.
Yeah, just from the waist up. That's all you really need to. It doesn't take the whole body to get the energy flowing.
Love that. So, it has been a while since we've been together, but I want
Yeah.
to start first. I know you, but everyone who's watching may not. So, if you could just give us a quick intro into who you are and what's going on.
Well, I don't know the answer to that, but I'll do the best I can. I've written a few books on personal development topics. I speak on that. I'm also a physician, a stage hypnotist, magician, pilot, speaker. I just can't hold a job, is what it really comes down. And so, as you know, my unique selling proposition is that I love teaching people to find their own personal resilience, to find
Mhm.
the way through the difficulties, and to do it with humor, because humor is one of the most important pieces of the puzzle. And I myself have recently undergone a series of challenges because of COVID, as most of us, and then
Mhm.
the loss of my wonderful dog Woody, who was the light of my life, and really pulled the wind from my sails when he unexpectedly left the planet. And so it took me some months to really get my footing again. And when
Mhm.
I did, I decided to pursue real estate because it's something that applies all the principles that I teach. And in
Mhm.
fact, I've taught many realtors because these principles are so relevant in the world of real estate that I decided it would be giving me a way of taking this material and grounding it.
I
Right.
love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
So
Now,
it's 6 months that I've been doing this now, and it's been challenging, but it's been great, and I'm still very much in the game. And I think I've learned a few new things about the process and about how to apply the principles. So
Mhm.
maybe we'll talk about those.
I love that, and I'm thinking real estate just alone is a challenge under normal circumstances.
That's true.
So to just jump into this industry during COVID, I can only imagine what some of the challenges were with that right now.
Well, yeah, there. I mean, it's been a very interesting market, and for realtors who have been at it for a long time, it's probably been a gravy train, because if you're busy working with a lot of listings, and the listings are going for more money, and people have been coming out of the woodwork to buy, it's been a seller's market. If you're a seller, you're in a great position, or if you're representing a seller. If you're newer in the industry and you've been working primarily with buyers, it's been more difficult because you're working with people who are working very hard to find their next home. And they've seen a lot of places, and we've taken them to a lot of places, and they've maybe made a lot of offers, and perhaps to no avail. Maybe
Mhm.
they've made offers and they've been outbid again and again and again. I've had people that have bid on 4, 5, 6, 7 homes before they finally landed a bid that got them the home they wanted.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating and it's debilitating, and it takes a lot out of the buyer, and it also takes a lot out of the buyer's agent. So, and that's just a piece of the puzzle, right? Even people who
Mhm.
are on the selling side of it have struggles and stresses, and there have been issues that have faced them as well. So, for all of us,
Mhm.
and really this is true of almost any industry, but in real estate, very much so, it's been a challenging time and a frenetic time, because nobody knows what the next step is. Nobody's quite sure whether the interest rates are going to head higher or going to go lower, or whether people are going to start lowering the price of their homes or not. And
Mhm.
although we are seeing trends and we can make some predictions, sometimes we have to backpedal. And we all know that. We all know that it's problematic. So I challenge anybody watching this to apply this to whatever industry you're in,
Mhm.
because it's really not about the job you're doing. It's about what you bring to it, the mindset you bring
Mhm.
to it,
Mm.
and the various tools you're using from your arsenal of personal development, and how they can make you more effective. And you know what? If you take every piece of this as a challenge, not as a problem,
Mm.
then there's never anything to pull you down.
I love that. I mean, and that is so true because, we're dealing with the power of intention and how you want to show up. So you mentioned the loss of your Woody, and I'm sorry about that. But,
Yeah,
we have a lot of people during this time that have suffered losses with pets. I know I interviewed Steve Gamblin. I don't know if you know him or
let's
not.
see. It's a
Yes.
great.
And his dog passed, so talk to us about, what that's like because some people who might not have had pets, it's hard for them to wrap their head around, why can't you just get another one? Or, how could that be so impactful? So, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I've had several people that was really a challenge to overcome.
It was the hardest thing I've ever overcome. I lost my mother a few years ago. That was nothing like the pain that I felt when I lost Woody. Woody was my day-to-day companion. He was with me everywhere I went, whatever I did. We never fought in the entire time I knew him. Um, he only exuded love,
Oh,
and the connection that we made with one another. And I think this is true in all connections. It has a lot to do with you and how you invite connection to happen.
mm-hmm.
Are you opening yourself to really being present with that other individual? And it just so happens that with dogs, it's easier than with people, right?
Mm,
It's easier to stay present. It's easier not to get in your head and try to figure out what to say next. You're
mm,
just there. And now that's an opportunity. It's not one that everybody always takes. A lot of
right.
people have dogs, but they may just drag them around on the leash from place to place and not really think of them as another being that requires their undivided attention. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I've got to walk them, or it's just another chore.
Mm-hmm.
But for people who relish the love of an animal and they understand the importance of presence,
Mm.
being present, then that animal becomes a focal point for presence, for focus, right? And
Wow.
focus is one of the most important things that you can bring to the table in anything you do in your life. So if
Mm,
you've got a way of strengthening your ability to focus, and it happens to be a way that fills your heart, And when
Mm,
that's gone, it's debilitating. I mean, for months, I was just in so much pain, and I still think about him, and I still have pain. I did eventually get another dog, but
mhm.
I had to do it in my time and when I was ready. And when people say, "Well, why not just get another dog?" I feel like it's such a lack of understanding of
Yeah,
what the relationship is. You know, it's like saying to somebody who loses a spouse, "Well, just get another spouse."
right.
You know, it's a personal relationship and it's a
Yeah.
unique relationship. And, you know, and if you don't get it, if you're not an animal person and you can't understand that, it's fine. You don't have to, but just realize that for a lot of people, it's a very real experience.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you talked about that because I think so many people just look at it that way. I know that I've suffered loss with miscarriages,
Mm,
right? And people are like, oh, well, you can just have another one and there's that attachment there. So I totally get that.
yes.
So I love what you talk about when it comes to mindset. So what are some things as we kind of go through where we're at now? People are like, it's gas prices that are high and food shortages, or, it just, I don't know, it's a different thing every time you turn on the TV or news.
Well,
So
can we
how do
first of
we,
all, can
yeah,
we agree that it's always something, right?
yes,
There's
it's
always
always
something that's going to challenge you, and we've certainly had more than our fair share lately. But that's just because it's been happening to everybody at the same time.
something.
But in reality, if you take any one life, there's almost always going to be something that can be pulling us down, or some, you know, we take turns, but eventually our turn comes and something really debilitating happens. And
Mm-hmm.
I think we can all agree that that those things have the potential to derail us. But here's the thing, and here's what I know: that people who are successful, people who do ultimately achieve their goals, their dreams, create the life they mean to create for themselves, those people, they had to do it on their own. They had to ultimately, not without the help of others around them, but they had to say, nobody's coming to rescue me.
Right.
No, you know, the circumstance is not going to suddenly align itself in such a way that it's going to make it easier for me to get the
Mm-hmm.
results I want. So if I'm praying for a change, I shouldn't be praying for the change to make my circumstances easier, but rather to pray for the change within, the change to be
Right.
a better human being, somebody who's better, more capable of meeting these challenges with equanimity, meaning with an even temperament, with love and peace and a sense of adventure, right?
Mm.
So and then there, you know, once you realize that that's on you, and that there are certain qualities or values or activities or actions that highly successful people take. Like when I wrote my book Bulletproof, I interviewed people who were very successful under inordinate odds. Navy
Okay.
SEALs, right? High level CEOs and executives, police officers, you know, frontline workers, and during emergencies, and all these people had very similar things to say about what it took
Mhm.
stay aloft, stay above, to be okay in difficult situations. And most of those things are ancient wisdom. So I'm not, you know, this is more of a reminder
Right.
than it is, you know, a brand new revelation, I think, for most people. But I like to work with acronyms because, you know, because people remember them and because I'm a dork and I like acronyms.
I'm the same way, so we're dorky together.
Right. So I'll be speaking to the Florida Association of Realtors, which, by the way, is a keynote that I was asked to perform well before I became a realtor. So this is
Wow.
because I've only been a realtor for about 6 months, almost 7 months,
Right.
but I was hired to do this keynote over a year ago, or just about a year ago.
Awesome.
And so it'll be a lot of fun. If you're going to be in Florida, I encourage you to come to that. It's going to be amazing. I know the main keynote is Martha Stewart,
Oh, fun.
and then there's me, and then so
That's awesome.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So and what I'm talking about, the magic of bouncing back.
Mhm.
Again, we can all agree it's been a tough couple of years,
Mhm.
and it's easy to justify our depression or our failure or whatever.
Mhm.
And it's also possible to rise above it. right? So
Yeah.
the magic of bouncing back, the magic of resilience, which is what bulletproof is all about, right? So what if
Mhm.
everything that bugged you, that blocked you, or that brought you down didn't,
Right.
right? How would you handle it? And so because I'm calling it the magic, and because I like to do magic too,
Yeah.
this is the magic of bouncing back. And so the acronym for magic is number one is meditation,
Mm.
mindfulness, right?
Yeah.
Most, if not all, of the people that I know at the very highest echelons of success have some form of meditation. It doesn't have to be the standard, regular way of doing it. It doesn't have to be, a particular lineage or a particular breathing exercise. It could be
Mm.
walking in the woods and having quiet time.
Mhm.
But there's some form of meditation. There's some way that they get out of their heads and into the present moment.
Mhm.
And if you have a way, then use it. And if you don't have a way, then learn it.
Right.
Talking
Now,
about
so for people that don't have a way, what kind of should they get like some of these apps that kind of guide them for that, or
that's
what would you
great.
say?
And
Mhm.
the simplest thing you could do is to use the physical experience of your body as
Mhm.
a point of focus, because what you're doing when you meditate is you're putting your focus in one place while it struggles to go somewhere else.
Okay.
We call it bring the puppy back to the paper. Your brain
Okay.
run off like a puppy, and you want to bring it back to the paper, uh,
Okay.
to paper train it. So you want to paper train your consciousness to be in one place, because it'll make it easier for you to realize who am I versus what are all these things going on around me.
Okay.
And some of the stuff going on around me is the literally around me, and some of it is the stuff in my head. But that's not me.
Mm,
That's just voices in my head. So how do
right.
I distinguish myself from the voices in my head so that they don't have sway over me? And you need to have a way of bringing your attention away from those things, back and back and back and back. And so the easiest and the quickest way to do that with the least amount of dogma or
Mhm.
spiritual overlay is sit down and close your eyes and take a few deep breaths and put your attention on the feeling of your body as it presses down into the chair,
Mhm.
and just feel your butt. Feel the weight of your body pressing down, and then move your energy a few minutes later into your hands and feel your hands and really feel them. And as your mind starts to try to take dominance and make you think about things, and those things might just be, this is stupid, this isn't going to do anything. That's just another way your mind tries to pull you away. You bring your
Mhm.
attention back to the physical. So out of your head and into your body is a very powerful tool in that realm, in the realm of mindfulness, meditation, the first the first leg of the stool that's going to give us the power
Mhm.
over our negativity.
I
Right?
love that. And I love that phrase. I wrote it down. Uh Having the time to be present so that they don't have sway over me.
Ah,
I think, when you're talking about the voices, and I
yes,
think a lot of people, we don't realize how mindless we live with these voices controlling us, and it's so funny. It's like we can't even sit down for a few minutes without the voices starting to come, because we have
yep,
engaged ourselves to always, even if you think about social media,
yep,
or just having your phone in your hand, you just can't sit there with your phone for a period of time. You feel like, okay, I got to be doing something, whether it's scrolling,
yeah.
looking at
And,
email or something. You know
And
what I
let
mean?
me, yeah, and let me just say that that's true of everybody, and it doesn't matter how long you've been practicing mindfulness, because it's
Mm,
it's a day-to-day decision. It's a commitment, right?
yeah.
That you need to make, because it's easy. I mean, I'm a seasoned meditator, and I know how to pull myself into the present moment, and I use that as a tool quite often because it keeps me from spinning out with emotions. By the way, hello, Jonathan from Atlanta.
Yeah.
Uh, that and Jonathan, tell me if you agree with this, that it's very easy for us to spin out, to
Yeah.
get caught up in other things, and if we practice what I'm talking about, it will gird us against the negativity, and we're all distractible, right? So I'll
Right.
still find myself looking at my phone too much, but I know the price I pay if I don't get conscious about it. If I don't say, okay, maybe I need a fast. I need
Mm,
a fast from this experience and become more deliberate about what I do. Which brings me to the second principle in the word magic, and that is action, right?
mhm,
What are the actions you're taking? And I always say, take the next right action.
mhm.
What's the next right action? What's the next thing? Because, inch by inch, it's a cinch. It's very easy to be
Mhm.
overwhelmed. As I know, as a new realtor, I can't tell you how many things I've been taught to do.
Yes.
And if you don't have a list, if you don't have a daily sheet, or I use Google Sheets, or I use my Google Calendar, if you
Mhm.
have mapped it out and said, this is what I'm doing from this time to this time, this is what I'm doing from this time to this time, if you haven't created a strategy, your
Mhm.
mind loves it. It's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to distract the hell out of you, because all I'm going to do is going to say, what about this? What about this? What about this? And you're never
Right.
going to get focused. And focus. Now, I heard Dean Graciosi say this yesterday. He said, focus is, he said it's on one. Let's see, it was follow one course until success.
Something. Yeah, success, yeah.
Follow one course until success. Focus. Follow one course. Now, that doesn't mean all day long or all year long. It might just mean all hour long or all 15 minutes long. But follow one course until success in the moment. Be in the moment.
Mm.
So if you've been meditating, you're more likely to take focused action and stay with the focused action until you achieve what you meant to achieve. But the next right step, break it down to the ridiculous, right?
Mhm.
What's the next 15 minutes of action that I need to take that's going to be useful to me? And again, this is a battle I do daily, because I've got, probably a year's worth of things I could be doing, but I've got to be just, it's the parable of the fish, right? You
Yeah.
eat one fish, and, one group and one group. You don't like say to yourself, oh my God, there's just too many people, there's not enough fish. And then you just feel the negativity.
Right. And that's a good one because I think, you mentioned 15 minutes. And
Hmm.
so often we think that it has to be longer
Hmm.
than 15 minutes. We're like, that's not even going to make a difference. So why is it going to matter if I do it or not? But
Yes.
I have a business partner and she challenged me one day to make phone calls. And so we were on a Zoom and she's like, mute your Zoom, go ahead and make these calls. And I did it for 10 minutes and I had 13 calls. 11 people called me back
Yeah.
and I got like 3 or 4 appointments from it. So, it's like 15 minutes when you're focused, I
Yeah.
think is the key, because if you're
Helpful.
trying to do something and doing 3 and 4 things, it's just not going to work.
And you're always going to, have the opportunity to be pulled off task. But if you do focus, the laser focused experience is so
Mhm.
satisfying inside too,
Yeah.
right? There's something that happens to us when we do that, and then that sense of accomplishment that we get from realizing, wow, there's it's incredible. Now, here's another thing that, in that area of A, A is action. A is
Mhm.
also, what's the word I'm looking for? Astonishment, or awe.
I love that.
Okay?
Mhm.
Astonishment and awe. What we find, and this is a lot of the neurological research I've been reading, is that just 30 seconds of focused awe, looking
Mhm.
at a beautiful scene, looking at a beautiful painting, breathing it in, feeling it in your heart and soul, and then going back to what you're doing, it removes the constraint of time, the sense of impatience or the sense of futility that
Mm.
we get when we think there's not enough time, and you're rushing around. When you think you don't have enough time, and you're working like this frenetic energy,
Mhm.
you get less done. So you need to put yourself in the right energy state, and that right energy state is stimulated by a sense of awe or astonishment. So look for moments that you could be like, oh, look at that. Like, I'm looking out the window here, and I've got a
Mhm.
sliding glass door, and I'm looking at Lake Champlain in the Adirondack Mountains, and that's
Mm.
awe-inspiring, and it gets me grounded. So that's a bonus A for you.
I love that. Yeah.
And
That
G, of
sounds
course, G, of course, is gratitude, right? Because
good. Mhm.
I find if I wake up in the morning and I didn't get enough sleep last night, and I'm feeling overwhelmed before I even get started, a little bit despondent, that I don't feel gratitude. I'm not feeling it bubbling up from me, but I still practice it.
Mhm.
Okay, so what that means is you still take a walk, and while you're walking, I'm grateful for the trees. I'm grateful for my dog. I'm grateful for the people that helped me yesterday. I'm grateful for the people I'll be helping today. And just verbalizing it, because when you say it, you're saying it to yourself. And when you're saying it to yourself, part of your subconscious mind hears it and is able to start to reframe or script
Mm.
your dominant pattern. So you do it even if it doesn't feel like it, and don't worry about that part of you that says, "Well, I don't even feel it, so it's not doing any good." That's just
Right.
voice. That's another one of the, the demons trying to get hold of you. So you just do it.
Yeah. I
And
love
it's
that.
the first actions. And to me now, the I is imagination,
Okay.
because, and it could be a lot of things. It could be integrity, impeccability. There are a lot of I words that I think fit there. But to me right
Mhm.
now, imagination, because there's my favorite play is Man of La Mancha, and
Mhm.
it's about Don Quixote. And there's a monologue in Don Quixote where somebody accuses him of being too much of an idealist,
Mhm.
and he goes on to say, perhaps to be too practical is madness, to seek treasure where there's only trash. He says, but maddest of all is to see life as it is and not as it ought to be. We need to be able to see life as it ought to, as we want it to be, as we can envision it to be. We need to be able to step away from the dominance, again, the dominance of the thought that says, well, this is my life. It always has been, and therefore it always will be. The past
Mhm.
doesn't equal the future, right? But we think it does. So we need to be able to have the courage to be imaginative. There's another good C there, is courage. Yeah, courage to be imaginative. I'm imagining, like I've been doing that lately, because my house, I haven't really redecorated my house in like 20 years. I live
Uh,
alone with a dog, and I just don't really have to. But now,
right.
but now I feel like I really want to, and I'm waiting for my finances to catch back up with my vision.
Mhm.
So, but I still do the envisioning. I still see the new floor that I'll have, and I still see the new couch and the new colors I'm going to surround myself with,
Love it.
and replacing the window air conditioner with the split, with those
Mhm.
all these things that are helping to drive me toward where I want to go.
I love that, and, doctor I mean, well, I'm calling him doctor. I don't know if he's a doctor or not, but Michael Gerber talks
Mm,
about that with the imagination. That's just one of the things that he's really evolved into with his E-Myth,
yeah,
movement. So I think imagination is key, because there's oftentimes the ability to see what is not there
yeah.
and move towards that. I mean, because a lot of people, they're like, what are you doing? You have a mission to do whatever, and they're like, what you're doing right now does not look like you're going to end up there. But, you have to keep that mindset for yourself. So I totally agree with that.
Successful people are all dreamers. I mean, everybody who's made
Hmm.
anything has taken time to just kind of feel into the experience of what's next. and
Hmm.
and and it requires, again, the kind of the practice, the willingness, the courage, the repetition, to realize that there's going to be a part of you that's going to say, well, that's not true, that's not what's going on right now. And you say, well, that's
Hmm.
not what we're doing right now. What we're doing right
Right.
now is we're exploring our psyche or imagination. It's a god-given, it's attribute, and
Yeah.
we use it, right? And
Mhm.
then, of course, the C is anything from courage to commitment. Commitment meaning that none of these things we're talking about happen overnight. You have to be disciplined. Every successful person on the planet has developed a discipline. What I'm doing right now with the real estate work is a discipline, and there's going to be some time before all of the results show up. But you're required to be disciplined. You're required to have a commitment to an outcome, and then just keep checking in with yourself. Keep checking in with your mindset, and to see if it's aligned with the outcomes that you're seeking.
Love that. This is good stuff. I'm doing that banner now that I'm gonna put for that was good. I love acronyms too. I'm the same way. And they help you kind of remember it, in a that was a master class. Really. We could have went into a lot of those
Cram
things
a
I
lot
was
into a short
saying.
period.
Each one of those really could have been a master class. So I love how you're able to just capture that,
Thank you.
with that acronym. So for somebody who is, just really into uh too much of the past or too much into the future,
Hmm.
and they just don't know how to get into the present,
Hmm.
what advice would you give them about that? So, yeah, we could talk about meditation and things like that, but just something that's a little bit more practical, I think, because so often, we allow our past to define us, and then we have so much anxiety about the future that
Hmm.
we just don't even get started, so we have this time frame that I say it's the dash in between the expiration date of our life. that we just don't use to
Right.
our benefit.
Very true. So meditation is, of course, is one of the most powerful long-term processes for, being able to zoom in and stay present. But
Hmm.
there are so many things you could be doing on a moment-to-moment basis. You could just take a few moments and what I call a power break. Just take a few couple deep breaths and really follow your
Hmm.
breath in, follow your breath out, and let it be. Just let yourself be with that.
Hmm.
Believe me, there's nothing that's more important than you getting present. And your ego will always try to convince you that whatever you're thinking and doing is vitally important, and you don't have a moment to stop
Right.
to experience awe. You don't have a moment to stop to experience presence. It's just not true. It's just so the first thing you have to do, the most practical thing you could do, is to start doubting that voice in your head that tells you you've got to keep going,
Mhm.
right?
That's good stuff.
Doubt that voice in your head. Just believe that every wise soul, every successful human being that's lived on this planet has figured out that you have to have dominion over your own psyche, your own experience. And if
Mhm.
you find you're on a treadmill and you're being compelled to run faster and faster and faster, sit down strike to the ego.
Yeah.
A sit down strike. Stop. I don't care what you think is important right now. I refuse to take another step until I go inside. Right?
Mhm.
Maybe I'm going to take a walk in the woods. Maybe I'm just going to take a few deep breaths.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm going to look at some beauty. Maybe I'm going to wash the dishes, but I'm going to wash each dish as if it's my child with love, attention,
Mhm.
focus. There's every moment of the day you have an opportunity to be hyper focused on one thing.
Yeah.
And if you're finding that you can't do it, it's because you just haven't built the muscles yet.
That's good stuff. And I totally agree because I think, it's those times where you feel like you're being pulled by a leash, running around doing stuff and,
Yes,
you're not able to show up present. It's like, I don't know, that angst about always feeling like, did I forget something? Or, am I going to be prepared to speak if they call on me? That kind of stuff is just totally out of my radar now, even though I used to live in that mode for so long
right.
that being on the other side, I'm like, hey, I am not interested in going back there at all.
And you of all people with the responsibilities in your life, you could justify being as busy as you want to be, as
Hmm.
overwhelmed as you want to be, and it
Hmm.
could always and nobody would ever question it.
Right.
But you know that despite all of those externals, that there is a value to be placed on quiet, silence, presence, the
Yeah.
gap, right? And you
So
just have to
true.
create it. And so above all, my final quote is always the same: don't believe everything you think.
I love that. That is so good. That's good stuff right there. So,
Yes.
this has been wonderful. I mean, I could go on for hours. Great conversation. And I love that whole thing about we do have to question the things that come to our mind.
Right.
Everything is not always factual. A lot of things it's like I learned, is this my opinion? Is this really true? Is this what somebody else believes? As you really begin to question those things, you find out that some of the stuff that I've been believing or even acting on is not serving me, and I can choose to do something different. So I love that empowerment that we can have with deciding should we even agree with what we're thinking.
Right on. That's great. And when I hear you say it, what the word that comes to me again is courage.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're being courageous enough because when you face your own thoughts, who are the ultimate enemy, right? But when
Yeah.
you face them and you question them and you decide, I'm going to learn how to be bigger than you. I'm going to learn how to have
Mm-hmm.
dominance over my own inner experience. Then what it means is you're questioning the foundation of your personality, that other people have taught you things, your culture has taught you things, your family's taught you things, some very dysfunctional people have taught you things throughout your life that you've believed. And now to question them means to shake the foundation. And that
Yeah.
does get scary. And that's why a lot of people won't.
This is true. But it is so much better on the other side. I really encourage people to do so. Well, this has been great, Dr. Steve. I appreciate you coming by and tell everybody the best way for them to get a hold of you.
So right now, my first shameless plug is that now that I'm doing real estate here in Vermont, and I'm a Vermont relocation specialist. If you have any interest in Vermont, which you all should, by the way, it's amazing up here. then contact me through my real estate website, which is home2vermont.com. It's home and then the number two, Vermont.
Okay.
.com. If, on the other hand, you're interested in the personal development work and the materials that I offer there, just go to my website, Steve Taubman, Steve Taubman.com.
Okay.
And there are contact forms and there are offers of free gifts and whatnot. And there's a lot of blog posts and whatnot. So it's a good place to start. And I always encourage people to reach out personally if they'd like. I'm very approachable for somebody who has as many people in my domain. It's I think unusual, but I do like real connection. So if there's something that you want to reach out to me about, do it. I feel like Ram Dass used to say this. He said, "I feel protected." It's like the only people who are going to actually reach me
Mhm.
are the people who are meant to reach me. And
Yeah.
so if we reach each other, it means we're meant to reach each other. And I'm not going to stand in the way of that.
I love that, and I totally agree, and definitely will co-sign on that because you are very approachable
Well,
and, very supportive. It's like you don't have to see people all the time,
yeah.
but whenever I have, had the ability to ask you to do something and, collaborate, you have been there to do so, so I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you. And it's an honor to do that with you.
Awesome. Well, if you guys have any questions for Dr. Steve, feel free to reach out to him. There is so much that we can gain from a conversation.
Yeah.
A conversation is really that starting point, that little small step that we can take in the right direction to begin to get on the road of doing things better for ourselves. So have that conversation, reach out to him, whether it's on LinkedIn or Facebook, some of these places that we are streaming now. I encourage you to do so. If you have a question, feel free to put it in the comments and we will make sure that he
Yeah.
addresses those for you as well. So, any final thoughts that you would like to share with everybody today, Dr. C?
It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure to be here. I hope that I've given you some value. If you happen to be in Florida in August, please come see me at the Florida Association of Realtors Convention in Orlando. I hope our paths cross.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for watching us today. We appreciate your time and we look forward to seeing all of you guys on the next episode. Bye for now.